Especially since it's 60 years old.
Oh, it needs to be done anyways.
Oh, just to get the easement, it's best to do it. It needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, it's like when. Same thing.
We have court, we could have a museum meeting.
60, 70.
Barrel, we have. These barrel workers.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:30. And we'll start with an acknowledgement that we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And with that, we'll go on to adopt the agenda. There is the one change, deletion of item 10.1, because we already had that motion from before, or that agenda item. And so with that, any other changes needed? Seeing none, anybody want to move the minutes with the one change? Or the agenda, sorry.
So moved.
All right, all in favor? It's carried. Our first agenda item, we didn't go through we have the discussion of which items that we would like to talk about, to go through on this one.
You passed a motion at the last meeting to
Not do
delete that, but it has to go to the bylaw committee to bring it forward for approval. So it was voted to delete that item.
Okay, so we're okay to go without it, and we'll discuss all of the agenda items. Everybody's good? Okay. So we'll start with our scheduled delegation of Kim from the High Prairie Food Bank. Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you for the invite. I know Brian Martin got a hold of me and asked to see if I would be able to come and talk to you guys about the food bank, which I have no problem doing. So what I've done is I made some little booklets for you guys, so that you guys have information for yourselves. So if you have questions, there's stats in there. You want to hand these out? How do you want me to do this?
Just give them to Kelly.
You can just give them
them
to,
to Kelly, she'll do that after.
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And Kim, we'll get you just to push the talk button on the mic, and then we'll be able to hear you better.
Thank you.
How many more? Two more? So some of you, I guess, knows a little bit about the food bank. I've had a couple of people who volunteered on our board at one time. So the food bank this year has been in High Prairie for 30 years. And we started off in 1992 with just little information stuff on the history of it, and became a society in 1997. We had a lot of rocky roads with the food bank, up and down, good and bad. The last 2 years with COVID has really did an eye-opener, I think, for the food bank in regards to how many people are in need right now. As you can look at your stats, I printed out from the last, since 2019, and this is just only for High Prairie, only, and these are only residents that apply. So if you see the increase from 2019 where we do a dollar value. So this dollar value is used by Food Banks Canada that they ask all food banks that are underneath them to kind of, so that we're all on the same kind of tier. Now, is it something that's realistic for our area to be using $2.60
cents a pound for food? No, but we use it, so. So if you look from 2019, I mean, the dollar value of food that went out into the community was just under 10,000. In 2020, it was just under 18,000. And then in 2021, we did under $22,000 worth of food in High Prairie. Oh. I don't know, you guys have questions for me? Don't know. We've seen an increase, even in 2022. We have a 50% increase just from 2021. But they're seeing this along all food banks in Alberta and in Canada. This is not something that's just happening here. So working along Food Banks Alberta they're trying to figure out a way on how to get food across the province. So we were lucky last year or part of 2020 that there was a grant through Food Banks Canada that they asked the High Prairie Food Bank, or High Prairie, I guess, to become a hub. So what happens with this hub is Food Banks Alberta will deliver food to High Prairie. We have a building within the limits of High Prairie that we are using, and we store food for food banks in the Northwest region. So we ship food to Fairview, Canning, all these different places that need food from Food Banks Alberta, because they're finding that rural Alberta, especially the Northwest, is hard to get food to. So they thought if it would be easier to get it at least to us than from us, we could branch it out from there. So we have a facility in High Prairie that we've been using for the last almost year and a half that has been helping food banks in the Northwest. So, yes. And that just happened in the last year, so. Any other questions?
All right, I see Councillor Stenhouse with her hand up.
So, I don't have, not familiar with the pamphlet, so I'm just gonna ask you some questions. Who has access to the food bank? Who can access it?
So, as you can see in part of the stuff, that any person can access the food bank, but the one thing is they must have residency. That is the number one thing. They must have a residency, whether it's in High Prairie, whether it's in our First Nations, whether it's in Big Lakes County. They have to have a physical address.
So do they have to prove that when they come in?
Yes.
They have to bring in something that proves,
Yeah.
okay?
So if you look at I've also attached our application in the folder, just to kind of give you an idea of what our application looks like. Anything that that person puts onto that application, they must provide that information to us. So they have to provide us that they have children, they have to provide where they live, their bills, their income, and then from there, I don't decide, nobody at the food bank decides. We have another business within High Prairie that does our screening, and they are the ones who get the information in regards to the application. So we might say, for example, we have 2 adults, 2 children, this is their income, this is their expenses, this is when they get paid next, and they're the ones that decide if they're approved or not. We don't.
So when you say proof of income, are you going off of their income tax?
Bank statements, 30 days from the day they apply back.
Okay. And how often can they access the food bank?
So at the time before COVID, we were doing 2 times within a 6-month period, and that was just due to we have such a huge region. So we were finding that during the whole COVID part, that wasn't working. So for the last probably almost 2 years, year and a half for sure, we've been doing it monthly. So they can access it once a month.
So they can only get food from the food bank once a month.
And it's a 1 week's worth of food.
So what happens for the other 3 weeks of the month?
We're an emergency, that's what we're classified. Most food banks are classified as an emergency access point to help them get through till they get their next paycheck or stuff like that. But right now, that's just kind of how food banks are running. We're not there to be we're hoping not to be totally relied on, but we know right now with the circumstances of COVID, And with people suffering, with gas prices, with increase of food, with utilities, that we see there's more of a need, and that's the reason why we changed it to once a month. Otherwise, they would only be allowed 2 times within a 6-month period. So really, they would only be allowed to access the food bank 4 times within a year. So they're allowed once a month.
So is your office open?
Right now, we are open, like we do applications over the phone. We're not allowing access to inside our facility yet. And that's just something that the board has decided right now. But yeah, they can phone us, they get information to us. It's been working since kind of COVID, since we shut our doors. But we're open, but just nobody can come into the facility.
So can you just explain how someone gets food? So they apply, they get accepted, they come to you?
Yep.
And then,
Pick up the food,
okay,
and then they take it home.
okay. And so is that by appointment or walk-in?
And it's by appointment also.
Is the office open every day?
Monday to Friday, yes. There's usually, we try to be there. I try to be there Monday to Friday. We do have a part-time assistant who is there Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for sure. That's when we have our hamper days for pickup. So we have 3 days a week for pickups, 5 days a week for application.
Okay. Do you find, is there a problem with people who don't have access to a phone or to make an appointment?
Yeah, but we've been working with a lot of other agencies in the community that help us in regards to if they can't get information to us, whether it's phone, email, or fax. We work with other agencies within High Prairie where they help the client out to access all that information to us. Because not everybody's tech savvy and understand that part. So we understand that also, so we're really grateful to have that working relationship.
And so are you guys really stuck on the access of once a month? Like if there was an emergency and they couldn't cut it, could they access the food bank more than once a month?
That's not my decision. That would be up to the screener. And I think the reason why we've done it, and it's kind of worked for the food bank for the last 20 years or so that we've done the screening process, is that the fact that it leaves us neutral. And it would really be up to the screener to decide if they are approved or not. It's not up to me, it's not up to my assistant, it's not up to my board. It's up to the screener to decide, and they're the ones who do the ultimate decision.
And do you have an idea how long it takes to be accepted? How long it takes for your application to be processed and accepted?
Within 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the client also. It depends on information we require from it, and it depends how quick the client can get the information. It all depends really on them. When they can get the information to us, we could have the application done within an hour to 2 hours. So there's not a long waiting period, but it's really it's up to them to get us the information, and that's, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Martins.
Chair, thank you for presenting this information for the work you do. I happened to meet with Cliff as well, so I talked about a lot of the things that Councillor Stenhouse has asked about. 2 questions for you. Is there an ask of council today?
No, I got a phone call to come and do a presentation, so I was a little confused because this is the first time I was ever asked to come here.
Well, thank you. It's good information.
So, yeah, and I didn't know what to bring, and so Brian Martinson called me and he said, just bring stats, bring information for them, because there are some people that don't know much about the food bank. And I said, sure. So I just kind of gave you what.
And I was going to ask about the new distributor model. It's new, so I don't know if you have any comment on how it's working.
Right now, how we're doing right now, I think the way we're giving out food, it works. I think the clients have we have some repeat clients, so they kind of know the whole process. Don't get me wrong, we still have the few that are, and we're seeing probably, I would say about 5% of our clients every month are new. And those are the ones that we have to kind of go through more of the application process with them. It takes a little bit longer. But the ones that come monthly, that have to rely on us, they know the whole system and they know how it works, and it's working. So yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Daneker.
So you answered a lot of the questions that I had, Kim, but my question is, based on this application, is there a set out criteria by Food Bank Canada or whatever that says they have to be under this amount of income, they have to be,
No, the only thing, like, we are under a tier system of Food Banks Alberta. When we become a member of Food Banks Alberta, we become a member of Food Banks Canada. So Food Banks Canada or Food Banks Alberta can't dictate to any food bank within Canada how they have to run their food bank. So really, this is based on every food bank makes their own rules, their policies, procedures on how they want to run, how they want to distribute food, how they want to accept food. It's really up to every food bank. Some food banks do once a month, some food banks do every 2 months, like it just depends on how they want to do it. So the only thing they ask is Food Banks Alberta, Food Banks Canada, is that we have a code of ethics we have to follow specifically. So like, for example, we get donated food, we're not allowed to sell it, just different things like that. But, and they ask us to do like safe handling, stuff like that. That's kind of their criteria, but for them to dictate to us, no, there's nothing, that's all based on the board.
so does the High Prairie Food Bank have a criteria then that people have to meet in order for them to be accepted or access and get food?
Yes, so based on your income and expenses on your application, we allow, and I think, I can't really say, we allow a $250 difference from your income to your expenses. However, depending on the circumstances, and that's what we look at every application separately. It's not, this is how it is gonna be totally. So the screener does really go through it. Every application is based on what's going on with them. So we say there's a $250 difference. We follow that all the time? We try to, but sometimes depending on the circumstance and what's going on in that person's home or life, or if there was a death, if there was whatever, we have to base that way.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Just one more question that raises another question. So, on their criteria, so 1 month they may not meet that criteria, but they can just keep applying, something happens the next month.
So like, I'm not saying this happens, but I'm just saying if a person comes in and they have $1,500 unaccounted for, they're probably gonna get denied. But if somebody, say for example, they're $300 difference, and they have children, and are we going to deny that person? I'm not saying that, but the screener, it all depends on the screener, but they might not. It depends on them, but I'm just saying, are we totally strict by the $250 that we use? No.
No, that's not what I mean. Okay, so this month I have $1,500, but something happened.
Yep.
And now I don't have any, how often can I apply to this? Is it monthly?
Yeah, it's every month, so it doesn't matter, like, so 1,500, you can come in there and you probably wouldn't get approved. The next month, say something happens, vehicles break down, I'm just throwing it, vehicles break down, or, because it happens.
Yeah.
You had to buy new tires or whatever, something's happened with your vehicle or whatever, or I've had people with their homes flooded.
Right.
Those unforeseen circumstances are the ones that we always take into consideration every month, so they can come for like the next 2-3 months because this is what's going on, or this has put them in debt. So we have to look at every application separately, and I think that's what the screeners, they've been working with us for years, have done. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in. I've got one quick question. Where are your screeners from?
That's confidential.
Oh.
Our screeners ask that they don't be named. It's just another bit. We have businesses or we have organizations within High Prairie that do this for us on voluntary basis.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just don't want, because they don't want the clients, if something had happened to be them, to be phoning them. So, and they've asked for the last years and years that they just be anonymous, and we're really grateful for them though, because it kind of keeps us neutral. Yeah, for sure.
No, thank you. I wasn't sure if it was through Food Bank Alberta, Canada.
No, it's a local.
It's a,
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
And the next one, it would be any public delegations. All right, okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, come on up. Barry, you know the routine, just make sure you give your name and where you're from, and you got 5 minutes.
No,
As a public
I think I got
delegation.
some people gonna lend me the 5 minutes too, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor. So I'm not worried about that. It's on. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Barry Shakawi. I'm a citizen of the town of High Prairie. And we do still work with the Chamber of Commerce. And we have some concern. And our concern is, we just wanna know some questions I have. And my question is, number one, and the question to council. The part-time CO, how he was hired? Did you guys met with him? Did you guys discuss the wages as the rule's supposed to be? And I need an answer on that from you guys, councilors, please.
Our former CEO did talk to, yes, and came up with an amount, and then council decided if that was acceptable or not.
You had 5 councilors approved it and 2 councilors didn't. That's when the vote came out. So the amount was given. Isn't the public have to know about it? And how somebody else will hire, as in the White Book of Municipality Act, it said to hire a CO, it have to go through mayor and council, as all, not one person. We have a democratic country in here. A democratic, it have to be around this table. So, when we have 2 councilors, they say, no, that's mean the process wasn't going the great it's supposed to be. They weren't happy about something, and that's why they said no. So how that work and how much the acting CO is collecting right now? And as taxpayers, we have the right to know.
Yep, and this is public knowledge going out there on CAO's wage. We did look into that from before to find out, and what do we have? I can't remember for sure.
The salary grid for the position is in the range, I believe, 120 and change to 145 as a maximum. This grid is based on experiences and necessarily what, or how long the person's worked in a position similar to this and before in other locations. So somebody with just 1 year experience coming from somewhere wouldn't necessarily go nowhere near the top, or somebody who's got 10, 15 years would be somebody that would be a prime candidate to be moved up. And it's a negotiation process. You're speaking about me, obviously, so I'll speak to for myself. Brian did come and talk to me about it. Is after the last go around, he had said that he was not going on anymore. He's retired, same as I had been, and it was time to carry out this summer. So he approached me, I provided him the number and the information, he brought that back to council, and council made the decision based on the information he brought back.
So the council made a decision.
It's a
on
decision
what
of council.
Brian, he brought them forward.
He
But
got
you didn't sit and he got interviewed with the council.
not for an interim position.
Yes or no?
No,
That's, I need an answer, yes or no, please.
no, it was for.
So he didn't meet with no council, you were just hired, correct?
Basically, yes, with,
Yes. Herman, you were in here 2008, correct?
that's correct.
Yes. And you worked with Heather, she's economic development at the time.
Pardon me?
Heather, our economic.
Oh, yes,
development,
Heather Ferguson,
And the CEO.
Larry Baird was
Larry
the CAO at the time.
Isn't it you guys have the time when the mistake was done on the land with Kevin Cox,
I believe that happened before I came in, so I can't speak to that.
so you were part of it.
No, I wasn't, like I said, that happened before I came in.
Okay, just want to know that, okay? So that's one. My second one is, you guys, Mr. Mayor, you hired Sherry. Your councilor went split, 3 and 3, and you went with the 3, the one they said yes. In the meantime, information was forwarded to you guys about the case, that there is something is not right. So, on top of that, and you know it was something without checking, and I believe Anita, she supposed to be checking those resumes. So, on top of that, you hired the person. Later on, when there's a pressure came on, you decide to have an emergency meeting. You had special meeting, 6 meetings in June. You had 2 meetings in July. And you call the meeting and you change your mind because was a pressure from the citizen. Because some people ask you to resign. So you came, you know how well that's gonna cost the taxpayers money. I don't care even if it's gonna be 1 month, but 1 month, that's money tax. As business well in this community, we're having a hard time. Things not going the way it's supposed to be. How are you gonna get your business people to survive in this community and when we are giving money away? So, the citizen of the town of High Prairie, they need some justice. They have the right to have some justice in here. They're not happy about what's going on. If we're gonna keep doing this, hire, fire, and everything, and here you are, you guys divided. You divided. Once, 3 and 3, and you went and supported the one that said yes. Second, 5 and 2, that's divided. How we are as a citizen of this community, we cannot trust the job you guys have to do. How? Because we have 3 years coming, and those 3 years, we can't. We can't live 3 years with this kind of unbehavior. In my opinion, I see that. As I'm a citizen of this town and I'm a taxpayer, Mr. Mayor, I'm asking you to resign. So, all of the councilor to resign. To make the people and the citizen of High Prairie pleased. If you love this town, that's what you do. That's what you do. For the respect of our community. Because that's have to be enough. You prove and you say no. And you affect on that lady. That lady, you guys should have had all this in hitting. It shouldn't came out. And if you don't want her, you don't want her. Her name won't come out. I know the lady. Her daughter, she teaches my son in the school, at the Catholic school. So you made it bad to her, and you made it bad to the citizen. And there's no justice in here. And I keep it with your heart, you guys. Think about it. And if you could sleep about it at night, it's not the idea to be in council and not to do the right job. I'm begging you guys to do the right job because that's enough. The citizen of High Prairie, they had enough of this. Taxes going up. Utility is up. Everything is up in here. We don't have any industry coming to our town. Everybody's running away from us. People don't invest. Sure, Tim Horton came, but we've been after Tim Horton since 2008 when, if you look at the motion, I made the motion for Tim Horton to come in and give him a building permit. Dairy Queen just came by himself. That's how it is in our community in here. Things is not going right for us. So when your council get broken, it's time. It's like a ship, Mr. Mayor. It's like a ship. When you're, I don't know what to say. I'm hurt. I'm really hurt. Because you know damn well how much I love this town. And I care about this town. And when I see my town played by some people and they think they're gonna run it themselves, it's not right. It's not right. I do have kids in this community. My kids, they gotta grow and raise and everything. Grandkids, they gotta grow and raise in this community. What we are doing in here? Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Barry, and I know I'd like to, and maybe I'll come and talk to you about some of your concerns, and I know we're well over the 5 minutes, so I don't want to get into too much right now.
Oh,
but-
Mr. Mayor, I think Derek told me I could take his 5 minutes, Sherry and Sharon. They are giving me their 5 minutes, so anyway, thank you,
All right,
and I appreciate that.
okay, thank you very much for coming in. Is there anybody else that would like to come? No one else? Well, for everybody else, thanks for coming in. And we'll move on then to our next agenda item, which is the Fire Chief's report. Can I get a motion on this one?
I'll move that we receive Fire Chief's June 2022 report confirmation.
Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chief for any highlights that you'd like to bring up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple of highlights I'll touch on here, and one of them is we've completed our third recruit intake training. It's so far and still is coming under good reviews. The new members that come in, they've got basically 2 weekends of fairly intense training, and it gets them up to speed where they are functional firefighters. So as you see in my report there, we've got 30 full-time members with 4 auxiliaries, so we've got a decent crew. And in a time and age when the volunteerism in communities across Canada is dwindling, so far we are doing healthy. So I'm happy to report that to you. We actually got to do some presentations to some kindergarten and elementary age children in the month of June this year, finally, after a 2-year hiatus. And the kids were pretty excited to come visit. We gave them little knickknacks and stuff, and they walked away with happy smiles, and we're glad that they could go through the fire hall and the fire trucks and stuff like that. And I had on one occasion, one of the events, I had like 8 firefighters that came down and volunteered their time and did some presentation to the kids and did some cool things with them. So kids walked away with the end of the school year with a positive from our aspect. I submit my report to council. If you've got questions, I'm open to questions.
Councillor Waco.
Thanks for coming, Trevor. Okay, so just 2 questions. First, you had a fire up in Peavine. Do we have mutual aid with Peavine now?
Well, we don't have mutual aid through us. There's a mutual aid agreement through the County of Big Lakes, and we are the responding department for the County of Big Lakes, and it's kind of all intertwined in that with the ICF agreement.
All right, excellent, thank you. And I see that the town alarms stick out like a sore thumb. How many of those are false alarms now?
We, touch wood, we have yet to have a monitored alarm that actually has a fire event. So, I mean, that's a good thing, but on the same token, I've done, advertising in PRs, and it hasn't changed the numbers at all. And surprisingly enough, statistically, a lot of it is not repeat residents. It's all these one-offs. And basically, we have a duty officer that will respond, and if I need to, I will follow up on it. I'll advise the residential or commercial structure that you get basically one free alarm, and then the next one within a 6-month time period, you will have a response call for that, or a fee for that, so. Yeah, I haven't sent out anything this year, I believe, for a monitor alarm, sort of repeat, so. But yes, statistically wise, they stick out like a sore thumb, absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor Daneka?
I just have one question with your, what is considered town general?
Town general, I classified into kind of everything that doesn't come under structure, motor vehicle collision. Things that will come into that would be cat in a tree to electrical hazards, that kind of thing. So it just kind of encompasses all the other stuff that doesn't fit into that one, into those groups.
Thank you.
Your favorite call.
My favorite call, and Derek's as well.
No other questions? All right. Just a comment, good work on all of the recruiting. You're obviously doing a good job to get them and keep them here. That's a great accomplishment, so well done.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for coming in. We have a motion to receive for information. All in favor? It's carried. And we'll move to our Public Works report. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Daneka.
I make a motion that council receive the June to July 2022 Public Works report for information.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Vern. Give us the highlights.
Well, some of the highlights is we had a few power outages last week we dealt with. One was Canada Day, had some control issues between Evergreen and the treatment plant for a few days. That's all rectified. We did start construction with the total money on the walking trails. We should be completing that up tomorrow. And the reservoir is just about full already this year.
Okay.
So I'll open it up to any questions that you have.
Councillor Stenhouse and Councillor Daneka.
So mine is weed maintenance along the highway. Is that our responsibility or is that the prairie?
That is ours.
So do you do from the asphalt down into the ditches?
Yes, I know that, yeah.
So the prairie takes no responsibility?
Not
for
within
any of
town
it?
limits.
Okay.
That's the same as sidewalks along the highway. They will, if we were doing a construction project on the highway, they would take care of paving and the curb, but they will not pay for sidewalks.
Okay. And my other question is exercising water valves for construction purposes.
Yeah. We would
Is that
carry
flushing the
on.
lines?
No, that's not flushing lines. Flushing lines is separate on this, but it is going to carry into the next agenda item.
Oh.
Councillor Daneka.
Just a couple things. Installed the smart board. Is that like something, oh, the TV?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There's actually a smart board in the meeting room in behind.
Okay. And my other question is regarding the campground. I think the last I asked, we had an attendant there.
Yep, there is.
Do we still have an attendant there?
As far as I'm aware of, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
I had a question for you, Vern, and just, it's great to see you working on the trails for us, because I know I'd heard it wasn't going to be until mid-August, so great to see it early so that the residents can take advantage of that. And are you still looking at about the same length of trails now that you're up there? And you can
Yes,
go around?
we're nearing the cost that was given to us, and then our labor was donated by council, our internal. But we might be able to do slightly more than we anticipated, just due to cost savings.
Okay, no, that's great that you're able to get at it a little bit earlier than you thought, so that's good. The other question I had was around the hospital site and the culvert there. Have we heard anything back from AHS on that? Are they going
Right now, it is in between them designing something to go across the property. We supplied them the flows, and now that was forwarded to them, and now we're waiting to hear back from their engineering company.
Okay, so we haven't heard anything back yet? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. And one last question, you'd mentioned the power outage and they weren't speaking between the different
Mhm.
plants and stuff. I know all of them have backup generators and stuff. but
Yeah.
Did that not work?
No, they all came on. We test those on a weekly basis. Everything came on, but it's just something went wrong with the program at Evergreen. We had to get it re-uploaded into the control panel.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for that. And good work out there. All right, we had the motion by Councillor Danaka to receive for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on then to 5.1, our minutes on, from June 21st. Got a motion, Councillor Dunn.
Council approve the minutes from the June 21st, 2022 special meeting as presented.
Okay, any changes, corrections needed on those? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Of the June 27th meeting. Motion on these ones. Councillor Yashishin.
Motion that council approve the minutes from the June 27th, 2022 special meeting is presented.
Any changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. The June 28th meeting, regular minutes. Councillor Dunn.
The council approved the minutes from the June 28th, 2022 regular meeting of council as presented.
All in, you have a,
I'm just at, maybe I missed
Okay.
something. Sorry. June 27th is where I'm at, special meeting, and then the next one I've got, oh, shit, sorry.
we're on 5.3, page 16 to, it's the regular meeting of council. June 28th. Any issues with those ones?
June. Yeah, no.
Good?
Yep.
Okay, nobody else? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to the June 30th meeting of council. Any motion on this one?
So moved. We approve the June 30th meeting minutes as presented.
I have a problem with that.
Okay, let's go to June 30th, and this, I know our CEO brought up one issue was who was joining by Zoom, one was by phone, is this?
Sorry, no, it's the next minute.
Oh, it's the next one, okay.
There's been so many.
All right, any corrections to these minutes?
And will it be accepted with a change to the following?
That'll be on the next.
That's the next one, this one where everybody was. Seeing no other changes, all in favor? Carried. And Councillor Stenhouse, you had a change on this one?
Actually, it'll be the one July 5th.
Oh, it's the July, no.
July 4th.
So was it July 4th?
Yeah, so I'll make the motion. that council approve the minutes from the July 4th, 2022 special meeting with the correction that I joined via the phone.
Was that on the 4th or the 5th?
Um,
I'm just trying to,
Actually, that was on the 5th.
yeah,
That's the one.
I paid for it for like,
yeah, John joined by phone. So this one with the minutes,
It's very good.
okay, do you
So
want to
as
make a motion
presented.
as presented?
Yes.
Okay. Any other corrections needed? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And going into our last one, or no, sorry, July 5th meeting. Yeah, this one has the correction. Does anybody, do you want to make the motion on this one?
Okay, I'll make a motion that council approve the minutes for the July 5th, 2022 special meeting with the correction that I joined the meeting via the phone, not Zoom.
You were sort of on both off and on?
No, I wasn't on Zoom that day.
Oh, I
I
thought
was
you were.
phone, I was strictly phone.
Okay. Any other changes? Seeing none, move with that one correction. All in favor? Carried. All right, moving right along then. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, move on to relocation of the water line. Page 32 of our agenda. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Dunn?
the council proceed with and allocate estimated funds of $96,725.20 from water reserves to cover the cost of relocating the water line and registering an easement across the property of 5120 53rd Avenue, Dairy Queen, and all cost savings, if any, to be returned to the water reserve.
Go ahead, Vern, you can give us a quick overview of this.
As you know, our municipal infrastructure was created many years ago. This line was installed in the 60s sometime, at which time there was never an easement registered across those properties. So it has been discovered that there is no easement, and the water line is part of keeping flows in that area, pressures in that area consistent with the rest of town. I've presented council with three options. One is to proceed, which is my recommendation is to making our system stay as is. That council abandon the water line that crosses that property at both property lines, or receive it for information, which does nothing.
So, what are the implications if we abandon it?
There will be a dead-end line on the highway, which is not conducive of continuous chlorine disinfection throughout the system. It could build up and cause havoc for, say, Subway with their fountain pop, as well as KFC, and high-smelling chlorine amounts will build up in that area for the strip mall that is next to it as well. And flows will be less in that area, plus if there's ever a problem there, you're gonna have loss of business due to shutting that line down until it can be repaired. The way it is now is it can be isolated from either direction.
I see you have a.
I think Vern touched on that, so I want to clarify the looping of the line.
The looping
It's
of the
very
line.
important, because if you do end up with a break in service
Yeah.
without the loop, then one area of town will be without water.
And I think there is a diagram that.
Yeah, so what are we looking at here?
Okay, the blue line is the existing one. The red line will be the new location, it'd be moving about 15 feet to the west, going straight north and just tying in on both sides, avoiding his building, proposed building.
Where the line currently runs would be right through sort of.
Straight through, yeah.
Yeah,
Straight through.
and we don't have an easement on it?
This is
So
where he
the
wants to
dashed
go.
line
This
is the
water
proposed.
line's in the way, is that
This
what
is
you're
it
saying?
right there,
Yeah.
okay, and this is his building. He's proposed that we go with this blue line that bulges, the dotted blue line. If everybody can see the dotted blue line there.
Councillor Martins?
So I've learned two things. First, the proposed duration of this dug, to replace that line, and when do you get started if we go ahead with option one?
If we go ahead with option one, we can probably get it started within the next 3 weeks before it's going to interfere with his construction, because he still needs a development permit from the town.
And what's the duration of the project?
Maybe 1 week at most. And we are looking at all alternatives to cut that cost from 96,000. That's why I put in there any extra will, that's the maximum cost, is the 96,000. The one thing we may be on the hook for is materials, if we can get them. That might be the only thing that would hold it up.
Sorry, Councillor Waco?
Since this is close to the river, is there any permissions that we need from Oceans and Fisheries for this?
No.
I like that answer.
Only if you're crossing,
Okay.
and only if you're disturbing the bed.
Okay.
If you drill under the river, you do not need a permit from Oceans and Fisheries.
Really?
All right, Councillor Stenhouse?
So when you do this, are you, KFC and Honda Shop and those guys will be without water?
No.
No. I'm still having a hard time with this line. It's just a line, but it goes nowhere?
No, it goes all the way, it continues on to 56th Avenue as well, or 55th Avenue. It ties in where we already have an easement across the property. But it ties on to 55th. Previous council heard from a local resident down there that he's on the dead end line past where this connects on 55th, and he does have issues down there with discoloration of water and stuff like that. Where you got continuous flow, you don't get that buildup.
And this loop line would allow this to just keep moving and servicing those areas?
Yeah.
And you can still shut it off and isolate it if it's.
If necessary, on both sides of the property. We're gonna have 2 valves, one on both sides of the property, so if there ever was a problem there, then we would shut that down. But and anytime you shut down a line, it's temporary. If there's a repair or something like that, it's temporary. It's not something, if we abandon it, would be permanent, right?
All right, any other questions on this topic?
Sorry, I'm sure you've already thought of this, Vern, but to state the obvious, there's nothing we can do to leave it as is and have him develop around, there's nothing.
No, he wants it moved. He's already moved his building as far east as he can.
The other thing there as well, Sasha, is, like Vern said, this line is 60 years old. It was put in when he had hair, so it's,
I wasn't even born. So I probably didn't have hair.
it's a chance to upgrade more of our infrastructure as well.
I could add one thing to that, also by upgrading it, replacing it, it just avoids the chance of something in the future where we do end up with a failure there, because when you get something that old, especially with water, it has no problem finding where to get loose, whereas with a new line, we should be good for a long period of time.
PE, 100 years.
What we got?
And we do have funds in the,
Confirmed with the treasurer, the water reserve is sitting at 761,000.
all right, I see no other questions, comments, so we'll call this to the vote. We have a motion to, there was the option one, the one that was recommended to proceed and put it in at a cost of $96,725.20. All in favor? It's carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vern.
I'll grab this one.
Okay, internal service bursary, go ahead.
The council approve a $1,000 bursary to Teneo Crooks, subject to the applicant signing a contract to commit to live and work in the town of High Prairie area upon graduation for a total of 4 months of service.
Okay, so you're not including the other ones?
No,
Just one?
no.
Okay,
So there's a couple issues here. We have a return to service bursary, and the applications are to be submitted by May 1st of the current year. All these applicants, even Teneo, is dated June 26th, so they all missed the deadline on it. And according to the criteria, they are to submit 2 letters of reference. Teneo was the only one that took the time and ambition to go and get 2 letters of references. The other ones just submitted an application. There's other problems with these applications. Would you like me to keep going?
well, are your issue is, were they with all of the applications or just the 2 others that you're not approving?
Well, with the 2 others that I'm not approving.
Oh, okay.
I can leave it at that if you want.
Based. Okay. Councillor Martins.
So I see the date of July 4th, where did you get May something, Councillor Stenhouse?
That's from our policy that is attached to the package, that applicants must apply by May 1st. Submit the required information to the town of High Prairie by May 1st of the current year. That's 1G.
I'm just going to ask, when did we advertise for these? Do we know the dates of the advertisements that went out?
The previous CEO decided for July 4th as the deadline.
Oh, that's what he advertised it with?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it was late?
Yeah.
Getting advertised?
So it was late getting advertised, and they stated in the ad that it would go to,
July 4th. Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
So
thanks,
that's
to
what-
meet that July 4th deadline?
Yeah.
So we broke our own policy then.
Yes, we were late advertising this, it sounds like. Yeah. Councillor Danaka?
I'm just curious with the 2 reference letters supplied by Teneo, that the names of these people that supplied the references is missing.
Well, yeah,
They're redacted.
yeah, they were blacked out.
Okay, and is there a reason why?
Just confidentiality.
But if they're sending a letter of reference, you would think that their name would be on that letter, saying, I'm so-and-so and I'm writing this letter of reference.
It was there, but administration blocked it out for the printing of our agenda.
But why?
I cannot speak directly for the previous CAO on that. That part of the agenda package was prepared prior to. I suspect it was a FOIP thing, an issue of just keeping going. If we were doing this in closed session, it would be a different matter. There's probably no problems announcing the names and that. Even as it is, you can sort of figure out who the person is in some cases, because they tell you who they are. So the decision was though to just do the names.
And as well, according to our policy, Tennille was the only one that supplied letters of reference.
Echo, 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 echo.
Yeah, you said that.
The application's incomplete.
But I have issues with us breaking our own policy also.
All right. Any other comments on this one? We had a motion to receive just for Tennille.
I have one more question. So, in our budgets, refresh my memory, are we not setting money aside to go into this account?
That's correct.
Okay, so. Okay, so we're going to, so there's 5,000 in there, okay, yeah, okay. Perfect, got it.
Councilor Martins?
I'll ask this of the group collectively. How do we know, I mean, I know they signed a contract, so if we look previous years, if these students were changed? I would know this, but I'm just wondering about the intent of this bursary and if it's fulfilling the intent of the bursary.
I know that the intent is that they were supposed to follow up. I know from before, when we asked the question, that they had not done a great job of following up on it. But there was the idea that they were gonna catch up on it. And that was going back, that was probably 3 years ago when we asked that same question. And I'm not sure what's been done in following up since then. Councillor Dunn?
So, that being said, is there something in place that requires, because I know other bursaries, like the Mighty Northern Alberta bursary, they require if you don't fulfill your term, then you pay the money back within so many years.
Yeah, and that's part of the agreement, yeah.
But we really need to look at this policy because there's so many open-ended loopholes here. So like, what if they quit? Then what? Do they pay it back? We gave them $1,000. What if they changed on their applicant? What if they change they go to school for a teacher and halfway through they decide they want to be a doctor, they change their course career? Do they pay it back? We approve for them to go as a teacher. Like, we really need to look at this policy. I would actually like this policy to be gone because it begs the question, are we spending money reasonably here? Taxpayers' dollars, handing out these bursaries, and we're not following up on them. It's not a strict criteria. If we missed the date, we changed the date. We need to really look at this.
Okay, well, we can certainly look at the policy and it can go to the policy committee to look at it again and make any changes to that. But for now, we could look at this one, Councillor Yashishin, and then I can see.
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm, so the one met the deadline.
No, nobody met the deadline.
Sorry about that, I didn't have the microphone. So neither of them met the deadline? Or one met the deadline and the other two didn't meet the deadline?
According to our policy, no one met the deadline, but our last interim CAO changed the rules
Oh, I see,
that I was
okay.
not aware of.
Oh, I see, okay. I'm just trying to get it straight in my mind. So really, okay, so none of them met the deadline. So we're sitting with 3 of them that didn't meet it. They came in after.
Because we didn't advertise for
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I
so-
see.
We didn't
Okay,
deadline
there
was
were reasons.
presented.
Oh, okay, thanks.
And I was gonna add that also, because when they revised the advertisement, it was given with a revised date, so
Oh, I
it was something that was missed here by the interim CAO, because,
Right.
you know, he's new into it, again,
Oh,
even though he'd been here previously, a couple of years he's been out of the saddle. It's the same as for the next person that'll come in, you'll have to make sure that if he, and he should, review the minutes of the past meeting, the things that were discussed. And this would be something that, if you use your calendar, you mark that down on a certain date every year, you put this out. On a certain date every year, this end of May, you look for the responses. And that, so that way you keep following it, and then, you know, you meet the deadlines that's imposed. It's not, I don't think it's fault of policy, it's just a matter of, it happens once a year. Unless you actually have it on a calendar somewhere, so these are things I have to do, things get this, I hate to say it. And if it's changing people, it makes it even more so. Some people are a little more friendly with calendar and able to use that to remind themselves, whereas others rely on just, you know, memory. That doesn't work for all of us.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
It's
you.
okay, Bob, we're all.
Okay, Bill.
All right, any other questions, discussion on this, Councilor Martins?
Just a point of clarification, then, I love this in its, you know, in what it's supposed to do. Are they, so let's say they go to higher education to be a teacher or a doctor, do they come back to work in that capacity?
Yeah, I don't know if they have to work in that capacity. We're hoping that they come back to the community with their education and ready to go. Ideally, it would be in that capacity, but maybe there isn't a job right when they get done in that particular field, right? You might come back as a dental hygienist, but if there isn't any openings right now, you might do something else in the meantime, but you've got the training, you're back in the community, you're looking. I think that would be acceptable. All right, we have a motion to approve Tennille. All in favor? Opposed? Well, and so with that, I've had a request to take a break right now because there is a kitten that is starting. So we'll take our 10-minute break right now. We'll go from there.
There's a cat in distress, Fire Chief Cesarowski. Roll that